This is Mitch for Indigenous Insights. Welcome back to the show. Today we have Rachel Tarpey, forester for the Keweenaw Bay Indian Community. She's here today representing the KBIC Forestry Department. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much for having me.
All right, so first of all, like I said, the who, what, when, where, why, how much. The first of that is the who. Tell us a little bit about who you are. Tell us about yourself.
Oh, so I've been working here at the tribe for about 5 years. And besides being a forester, I'm a mom of 2 young kids. I love living in the Keweenaw, working and playing outside. I just really try to enjoy the forest and the water as much as possible.
Right. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
So I'm from Sheboygan, Wisconsin, right on Lake Michigan. So it's nice to be back on a big lake. So I ended up going to Michigan Tech University for part of my schooling, and I found that I really liked it. It's a beautiful place to live and work, and so when I had the opportunity, I moved back to the UP and was happy to get a position in Baraga.
And here you are in the studio with us, over in the corner. So tell us a little bit about the Forestry Department's responsibilities.
Sure. The Forestry Department at KBIC here helps the tribe manage about 17,000 acres of forest land that KBIC owns and manages. In doing that, I do a lot of forest inventory in the winter. I go and check on forest health, see if there are any diseases or, high fire hazards that might occur in the woods. I also work to get the timber and non-timber resources of the forest for tribal members. So if tribal members would like to harvest medicines, they can come to me for locations where I've seen those before. If they'd like to harvest firewood, I'm able to give them the permits through my office, or even maple sap. There are, 17,000 acres for tribal members to harvest on, and there's a variety of things you can harvest in the woods. And then there are also timber sales. So the tribe has revenue coming in from the sale of wood, lumber, and then pulp and firewood that we thin from the forests to make them more healthy.
Okay, so quite a few questions pop up from that actually, but the first thing I want to kind of mention, and we'll go back to these later, but permits for maple sap, maple syrup. Do KBIC members need a permit to collect sap?
If it's on tribal land, yes.
Okay. All right. We will go into the permit stuff here in just a little bit, but I want to go back to just the basic management of 17,000 acres of forest. I'm assuming that you have a great pair of hiking boots. I mean, how do you do that?
Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun in the winter. I'm on snowshoes a lot of the time, walking through. Maybe I'll visit a few parcels a day. So it's a great job to be able to explore, tribal lands and see what the day holds, on that piece of land. It's really nice. I work a lot with the Natural Resources Department, and they have, specialists for water quality and wildlife that really give me a lot of direction and how the tribe wants to manage that land.
So good old-fashioned out walking with your boots or snowshoes has kind of been, I would assume, the procedure for years and years. But as we're getting into the future here, how much do you use technology in your department?
I do quite a bit, especially for mapping and taking down that location information of things that I find on the ground. Yeah, I use mapping almost
daily. GPS, kind of like marking where you've been?
Yeah, GPS and then GIS, Geographic Information Systems. That's, putting all that GPS information in context.
So, is there technology that makes it so you can kind of sit back in an office and look at the forests like that? Or, you still have to take the technology out in the woods and you're spending a lot of time out there. How often do you spend outdoors compared to the office? What's like your ratio?
Sure. I probably spend twice as much time outside as the office. So it's good to have a day a week to catch up on office work. Sometimes I'll need a little bit more than that, but then I can be outside the rest of the time.
Okay. And when you're outside, what are you looking for? What would you, if you had a trainee there and they're like, what am I looking for out here? I see the trees. What are some of the things that you're looking for specifically out there?
Yeah, I'm looking for like the health and the vigor of the trees. If I see that there's like an infection on a lot of the trees and they seem to be declining because of that, that's something to note. Then the forest could use our help, in mitigating that. I also measure tree density and tree size. That can tell you how healthy the trees are growing on the soils where they are right now. Yeah, if there's a lot of dead trees, that's kind of a red flag warning too. I also look for wildlife habitat opportunities like lots of conifers or stream corridors. Those things are kind of highlighted, and we want to improve those places in the forest.
This is all very fascinating to me. I'm thinking that if I wasn't stuck in the studio, that I'd like a job like that. That's pretty cool. What are some of the tools that you have out there in the field to do these different tests?
Sure. So I do have a GPS, like you said. That helps a lot. Sometimes I have a tablet when I'm recording the data. I have a rangefinder, which helps me get the height of trees. And I have a diameter tape. I have water.
The survival supplies.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy one. Flagging to mark anything on the ground of special importance, like an area where logging equipment shouldn't go.
Okay.
And I often carry paint too when I'm designating which trees the loggers should cut.
Okay, I've seen your markings out there, Beartown. Okay. That's cool. I think people like to hear that. I like to hear that because I go out to the woods a lot, and I like to hear that so much care is being taken for our woods out there. So I feel like we could go on and on about this because, like I said, I'm very fascinated. But why don't we go with this? What's kind of the latest over at the Forestry Department? What's been going on recently?
Sure. So we got a grant for a firewood processor, and that's the kind of the beginning of the firewood program. We have a Nadinase. It's Ojibwe for We Go Get Firewood program. And so as a forester, I saw the need that there were elders and disabled people who could not harvest firewood by themselves. So our permits allow every tribal member to harvest 10 cords of wood, which is a lot of wood, basically to heat their homes throughout the winter on tribal lands. And elders and disabled people are not able to do that. So I was able to get a grant fulfilled for a firewood processor, and the tribe will donate some firewood in order to heat the homes of a couple of tribal members and also provide cultural wood for ceremonies.
Very good. Very good. I like that. Now this is where I wanted to come back to, some of the permit stuff. This is something I brought up in these segments before. Frequently asked questions, FAQs. I know, we had the permits and there's some other things you're talking about before we started recording. What are some things people are consistently asking about? Maybe they don't know that you'd like to kind of clear up here today.
I get a lot of questions about forest diseases, about tree diseases. So that's neat to see that people are kind of have a watchful eye out in the forest. I do get asked about firewood quite a bit and about where people could tap trees if they were interested. So that's a free, benefit that tribal members can exercise their treaty rights in harvesting firewood and maple sap, boughs. There are many things. So if anyone is interested, I'd really like them to come to me and ask some questions, and I can even give help like locating
Here's a
those
question.
things.
Here's a question. And, I feel like I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it to get the information out there. If these are treaty rights, why do we need permits? What do the permits help with, I guess?
So they help document that the tribal members use and value their woods for this reason, or for these resources like firewood or like medicines. In the world of funding, sometimes it can be hard for me to justify my time and work on a topic like medicines or like making firewood available for tribal members if I can't document that it's a need in the community.
Yes. So like kind of a scenario might be company wants to come in, or I don't know, even the tribe wants to use a portion of land or these woods for housing. You can say, hey, no, we have people using permits for medicine in here. We have people using permits for firewood and maple syrup. We cannot cut these trees down. We got to protect this area of land.
Right.
Right. Okay. And that's the same thing I kind of got from Austin Ayers at the NRD. I never realized we're kind of supposed to register our deer when we fulfilled our tags. I just thought we got our tags and that was it.
Yeah.
But then he explained how they use that to map it out. Even that can be used to obtain more grant money sometimes. So when people get those permits, it's not about trying to regulate treaties or anything. It's collecting that information so then you can use it to further the program, basically. So it's very helpful, correct?
Yes.
So maple syrup, you need a permit for that. Firewood, a permit for that. What are some of the other things people don't know that you need a permit for?
Birch bark.
Birch bark,
collection.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, I didn't know that.
Basswood. Anytime you're taking a live tree, I've had people take cedar or different trees for posts for building a fence.
Yep.
And we like to limit the amount of cedar because it's not doing too well
Okay.
health-wise right now. But whenever you're taking something from the forest and not, individual parts of plants that don't kill the plant, those are usually no permit is required.
So collecting cedar boughs is okay.
That's right. So no permit is required for bough harvest.
Okay. And then that's another point of the permits, too. You said cedar's not doing as well, so that even with the health, because there's probably a lot of tribal members that might be like, okay, we don't want to take any cedar then. If they hear that it's not doing as well, let's let it grow. Very good. See, I love these interviews. We get to learn cool stuff like this. Any more FAQs you can think of? What else?
Sure. A lot of times the locations of where to find things, and that's an important part of the permit system to guide people to certain locations. For example, if a timber harvest has just been, done up Beartown, and there's a lot of extra dead wood on the ground, I can inform people, if they don't know already, good places to harvest firewood, because some places are extra sensitive and they might not have an abundance of firewood, and we want to leave some wood on the ground for, say, reptiles and amphibians. So it's good to be conscientious of where we're harvesting so that it can be a sustainable harvest.
I love this level of management. I just love it. I mean, you truly are taking care of the land in such a fine way. Anything else? Frequently asked questions. I'm trying to think of some of my own, but I just can't right now. I'm just in this learning mode. I love it. Anything else that you can think of in this little section? Okay, I got a question. Permits, costs. What do people have to pay to get these permits? And how long do they last?
There's no cost, and they last from October 1st to the next September 30th.
So just like
year.
our hunting and trapping and fishing license.
Yes.
Okay. And then what do the permits look like? A piece of paper? Or is it kind of like a little card or?
Yeah, it's a piece of paper. And actually, if someone is interested in harvesting more, and for example of like standing trees, that's feasible as well. Almost any kind of sustainable harvest is doable through my department if we do it, in a certain way. So you can harvest commercially.
You can
for
cut down
example.
trees, sell them, and have your own little business.
You could. If it's a certain amount, you have to be registered as a tribal logger, with the Taro office. But that opportunity exists, for all tribal members.
Very cool. I love it. I love it. Moving on to this next one here. For people looking for more information about the department, the permits and everything, how do they do that?
Sure, they can go to the KBIC website, and under departments, forestry department should be there. And we often post events, for example, workshops on Facebook, both the NRD or Natural Resources Department and the KBIC Facebook page.
All right, very cool. What about phone? You got a phone number they can call? And
Oh, sure. That's 906-353-4591.
And what about people who are a little more introverted who like an email?
Yeah, so my email address is rtarpey@kbic-nsn.gov.
All right, and last but not least, any last words to the listeners before we sign off?
I'd love to hear from you if you're interested in anything with the forest, even bird watching, berry collecting, and you would like a little more information about your forest and what you can do there, all the things that you could harvest or see, or just to spend more time there. I'd love to help you with maps or however I can.
All right, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.